Hello and welcome everybody to the Middleway, a new channel that talks about a range of different topics and we try to find the middle way. Before we even get into the episode, I'm gonna introduce myself. I am Crossy the Kid and my co-host
Tommy Tells.
And our producer.
I only talk when I want to.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Alright. That could be your catchphrase. Okay, so on today's episode, we are talking about time travel. Now, what is time travel? Basically, if an object travels on a journey that's longer than what is expected by predictability in terms of physics, or the advert linear version of how we describe time. That sounds way too complicated, isn't it?
So, man, these fucking definitions are nuts. Man, every time I think about time travel, I just think about literally getting a time machine and just traveling forwards and backwards in time, anywhere, any place I want to, whenever I want. At least that's what I think of it.
This is a good. I think the idea is like kind of like a dream state in a way, you know, like. You know, and in all technicality, we are time travelers. You know, like we are traveling through time right now as we speak, right? We are going through moments of a linear process, and we are becoming time travelers as we live in the present. Technically, every second goes past, we are traveling through time. But, you know, is time just an illusion? Is it just the mind that we have to sleep, right? You know, unless you're like, you know, obviously evading through time through other means. But yeah, you know, we all have to sleep. So technically, is time a dream? We don't notice that we're traveling. It's like kind of like we're on wheels running up a mountain. You know what I mean? Like that's the experience of what life is. But at the same time, man, you know, we're going to get into the real definition of time travel. Wikipedia says,
Time travel is the concept of movement between certain points in time, analogous to movement between different points in space by an object or a person, typically with the use of a hypothetical device known as a time machine. You know, that actually kind of sounds cool. I'm not going to lie, like, a time machine is what allows you to do it. But at the same time, time travel is a widely recognized concept in philosophy and fiction, particularly science fiction. The idea of a time machine was popularized by H.G. Wells' 1895 novel, The Time Machine.
which was a good movie in like the 40s or like maybe like 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, there were two versions of that movie. I've seen both. Like, I can vaguely remember that the more recent one with, was it Guy Pearce, I think? Guy Pearce. That was it.
I don't know when the movie was came out, but I'm pretty sure it was like 2004 or 2006, something like that. It was an interesting concept, you know, like even like Planet of the Apes, but was an interesting concept. You know?
Man.
I don't think that was like time travel though, in all technicality, you know, like monkeys ruled the earth, you know, like is this like a euphemism for something, you know what I mean? Like who runs the earth?
Oh man, who knows?
Are they really monkeys, bro? You know.
Well, the one thing about the movie The Time Machine is that
even in that movie, bro, they talk about the time.
It's like they got those creatures in the future that apparently are humans, but they're like a different kind of human, and in the future it's like, you know, at least I think about those weird, like they're like those cave humans and shit.
You know what? How about
we pop it up?
We pop it up right here.
Time Machine. It's a good movie. You know, I will recommend it. I think that it just blows the imagination away, and I reckon that, if anything, the world could do with more sci-fi. I feel like sci-fi is something that the world needs more of. Just to explore fantasy in general, you know. Creativity is just, at least in this aspect.
2002, man.
2002.
2002.
The Time Machine.
Our next stop is Antiquities. Make sure that your micro scans are charged for download. Let's go. And Tommy, if you do that again, I will resequence your DNA, so help me. Now march.
Welcome. How may I help you? Over here, area of inquiry.
Tell me about the time machine.
Time Machine was written by H.G. Wells in 1894. It was later adapted to a motion picture by George Pal and a stage musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, which ran on
that's
Broadway
not
for
what I
23
mean.
years. Would you like to hear selections from the score?
No.
There's a place called Tomorrow.
Thank you. That's quite enough.
Will there be anything else?
No. I think I'll have better luck in a few hundred years.
Time travel,
It's possible, sir.
not in this world.
Where do you come from?
I'm from the past.
I wonder if we'll ever go too far.
With what?
With all of this.
No such thing.
Why have you traveled through time?
To have a question answered. Why can't one change the past?
Why would you want to? You lost someone you loved very much. You should go back to your own time.
Why?
There are things better left not said.
Tell me what's happening here.
And if the truth will haunt your dreams for all time.
Well, I think I'm used to that. This was not supposed to happen. They're human beings.
I can look inside your memories, your dreams, your nightmares.
You have to fight. You have to resist.
Nothing will change the future.
You're wrong. I will change it.
There you go, guys. That is the Time Machine, made in 2002. Isn't that crazy? Like
Yeah.
a book. Like I kind of want to. You want to see the old one?
You know, if you can pull that up too.
Yeah, I think
to
that
take
would be a
ourselves-
great idea. You know.
I mean, it's got to be better than looking at Jeremy Irons getting a makeover with white face paint, right? Like, I mean,
Exactly.
you guys are creepy. Then again, I mean, who knows? That's probably like a cool thing in the future. People just go around white facing themselves or some shit. I'm just speculating, man. I mean, fashion's always changing.
It could go either way.
But just imagine that traveling in time.
This is the one, yeah, 1960s apparently.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
So this is time travel in the 1960s.
Such stories as H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds and Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea have challenged mankind. So today, man is successfully probing deep into the mysteries of the universe. Can he penetrate the greatest mystery of all, time itself? It took the creative magic of George Pal and the fabulous production know-how of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer to catapult you through time into a world that is yet to be.
Why is it that we usually ignore the fourth dimension? You see, we can move in the other three. As the doctor said, up, down, forwards, backwards, sideways. But when it comes to time, we are prisoners.
Inventor Rod Taylor's breakthrough into the realm of the fourth dimension is defied by his friend Alan Young.
If that machine can do what you say it can, destroy it, George, before it destroys you.
Every moment is a year, hurtling through the atomic wars of the future on an incredible excursion into the unknown. What are the people like? Ah, the shape of things to come. It's lovely Yvette Mimieux. And what happens when boy meets girl thousands of years hence?
How do they wear their hair?
Who?
The women of your time.
Up like that?
Show me.
Is this the human race of the future? Or is this the Morlocks, fiendish creatures who live in a weird underground world? And the Eloi, the tranquil sunshine people, who the Morlocks dominate and maintain like cattle, luring them below with the hypnotic wail of the sirens, to feed upon them in cannibalistic horror.
Now that's an interesting, like, kind of dynamic between the two. Do you notice that? Like 2002, like we have like CGI, you know, technology, and then you have like back then when they were just like first getting used to cameras and stuff, you know, like just like the massive time lapses that you see with the candle and that. I thought that's dope, you know, to capture time. What a mind bender that was, bro.
It's like some real intense physics shit right there.
That's, I don't know, bro. Like, just comprehending that into my mind, man, is just like crazy, bro.
And
you know,
object traveling, man.
Have you traveled anywhere through time?
I'll tell you what. I mean, no. I wish I had that. I wish I could travel through time. I mean, it'd be pretty cool. Let's be honest. Like
time travel would be sick, bro.
Bro.
Could you imagine that shit?
Getting a time machine.
Travel. Like, what if you could time travel? Perfect time. Bing! So, what if time travel was real?
Under the question, what if?
What if time travel was real?
Man.
What if? Like, in all honesty, like, if I could time travel, you know, like, I like the concept of going into the future because, you know, we have an idea of the history, but, like, does it always have to be once? I'm fascinated, you know. I would want to see the dawning of time. I would want to see dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, even, like, World War II would be interesting, you know?
I'd
like,
have to see the dinosaurs.
Like, you know, even, like, the throughout
pyramids.
time, like, so many stories
See
that
them.
have been mixed up, you know? Who really wrote the fucking religious text, you know? We find that the truth, you know? Is it manipulation or indoctrination, or is it the truth? You know what I mean? Do you see it's happen, you know? The dawning of time.
I'll be straight up. I'd definitely just go to see the dinosaurs, man. I think I'd have to do three things at least. I'd have to see the dinosaurs. I'd have to see the pyramids getting built. I would have to watch a Roman gladiator Colosseum match.
Bro, that'd be
I'd
dope.
have to watch them fight.
That'd be dope, man. Could you imagine that? UFC is essentially the modern day gladiators, man.
And like the best part, the best part is that, and you're right, it is being like a modern day version of it, but you're actually putting bets on people fighting to the death. So it's like, you see the guy with like a sword versus the guy with an axe, and you're like, yeah, go the guy with an axe. But 10 denaries.
We haven't changed that much throughout history in terms of that behavior, bro. It's very, like, I swear to God, like, that is probably the most exciting sport in the world. At least to me, you know? Like, I think, like, if you watch sport, I think that comes from the Mecca hub, you know? Like, just fighting, you know? Like, imagine, like, back then they'd put, like, a fucking tiger with, like, some guy with a spoon, you know what I mean? Like, just to see what happens, bro. To challenge the Warriors, and the Warriors had a life expectancy of what, like 2 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I think, but some of them, the ones that were good, they would live till they were like 50, 60 or something.
Yeah.
There was this thing
they would get paid what in heaps and salts and all sorts of things. And that's another thing, like you get to see the evolution of fucking currency and changing from a barter society to one of debt. You know what I mean? Like, that's an amazing concept, you know? And time travel is kind of like an interesting thing in that because you see the evolution of man not only grow from potentially monkeys, but you also get to see the structure of the way that tribes are set up and villages are kind of created. Like, cities are created, you know what I mean? That concept is amazing to me, you know? Like, how they market things from the 50s to like now, bro, you know, like,
oh man,
this consumerism, all that shit, bro. Like, I don't know.
Speaking of which, you know, they got footage of big cities such as New York, London, Moscow, Tokyo in the 1900s.
speaking to this guy today, bro, and he was saying to me his theories on what time travel is, right? So he's saying that time is just like a dream state in our mind, and our awake state is actually our sleeping, and our sleeping is us awakening.
Jeez, man.
Do you know what I mean? That's like a huge rabbit hole. But even another one, multi-dimensions, you know, the concept of like, if I move this here, in another reality that could have spilt onto the laptop. How did they get there? How did they get there? Time travel. Do you know what I mean? See how I did that lapse right there? I know you're thinking camera tricks. Nah, man, that's time travel. The concept in your brain is insane, right? Watch, guys. I'll do it again.
I can't even believe it, man.
Did you see it, bro?
It just travelled through time.
Yeah, I think you're right, bro.
Fuck, bro.
Do you reckon you could do it?
I could try.
Alright.
Wow.
What?
Who would have thought, man?
Oh, you must be as powerful as me.
Man.
Time travelers, bro.
Time travelers, I didn't even realise. That's pretty intense.
Let's try it again, bro.
Yeah, we'll try it again. Oh, yeah. Me.
See? You see that?
Bro.
Bro, do you reckon you can make the whole thing disappear, man?
Dude. Let's go back to a time when we didn't even have the beer. Let's do it.
Okay.
Me. There's nothing a what if. I would definitely go back to see Fernando Magalhães, Fernando Magellan, and I would go on his travel. He was the first man in the world to sail around the world. Like, no one had done it before. He was the first person to do it.
He's tripping definitely.
But he died before he finished it. But his shipmate finished it for him.
So he was on hard drugs.
He got killed, but not by a seal though.
Could you imagine that? It could be a seal though.
Not by
a seal. That could be potentially a seal.
No.
Like when he fucked the mermaid, what if he was tripping out of his mind? He could have been starving, bro.
He wasn't starving. He got murdered by a Filipino native. At least that's what.
Okay. Hold up a second. So Tom has told us something interesting, bro. Tell us what is this story, man?
Oh, it's just the diary of Fernando Magellan. What they did was when he conquered Egypt, allegedly the Egyptians had papyrus, which was when they got the plants and then they would pretty much glue the plant leaves together and they would use the papyrus as paper. There's a method. It's not actual paper, but papyrus is similar to paper. And then they copied it off the Egyptians, and instead of doing clay tablets, which is what the Greeks used to do in pottery and stuff, they would then use the Egyptian papyrus to actually write, and they get scribes to write whole books and whatnot. And then obviously those books became the literary evidence for pretty much all the books based in the Library of Alexandria, all based on Egyptian papyrus. Pretty much.
So what are they using to write them though?
Is
it ink or is it?
They got like an ink. They got an ink. Like I don't know what kind of ink, but it would be like what the Egyptians were using to. It wouldn't be like I don't know what kind of ink they would have used back then, but they would get some kind of a dye, like a colored dye or something. Because the Egyptians actually didn't have letters; they had hieroglyphics. You know, the owl, the lion.
Yeah, they had symbols.
They had symbols.
They would create symbols to create their kind of language.
Yeah. So the Greeks transitioned from using clay tablets, and then when they went to Egypt, they then started using papyrus. You know what I would do to be a real prick? I'd go back then, and I would burn all the papyrus, so people would be forced to do clay tablets forever. And today we wouldn't have any fucking paper. We'd all be writing on clay tablets.
So we're going to get into the theories of time travel. One of the theories that we have here is time dilation. This is Edison's theory of relativity. Now, what's your thoughts on the theory of relativity?
So man, like I've heard about it. Einstein was an impressive bloke. I mean, you know, he seems like a funky guy. I reckon if I could go back in time, I probably would have like taken some tips off him. But I'll say this: when it comes to relativity, first of all, it blows my mind away. Like that, everything that happens between what he refers to as space-time is relative to the object that is literally traveling through space and time. And there's different, clearly, like, Well, you know this. I mean, you might have heard this before, but did you know that there are two astronauts, Mark and Scott Kelly? Have you heard of them before?
No.
Well, one of the brothers was in space, while the other one was on Earth. Believe this or not, the brother in space spent so much time there that he's actually younger than his brother on Earth, because in the theory of relativity, space and time actually change in different parts of the universe.
Okay, so it means that it shifts certain balances.
Yeah, some time on Earth is going faster than time in space because of relativity.
Okay, well, like I think I've seen like this clip where like this the way that he figured it out was he was like standing at a train platform.
Yep.
And he noticed like the light passing the train, and he was thinking like maybe that could be a theory there. We're gonna watch a video that kind of explains this, a brief explanation on what time dilution is. Let's give it that.
Time. You can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't weigh it, but we experience it every moment. The whole piece of time is a landscape, and we move through it, slice by slice. But do we really understand time? Is time same for everyone? To understand time, let's go back in time and make a small journey with a certain young patent clerk, Albert Einstein. Imagine you're traveling with Einstein in a train moving at a certain uniform speed. The train, relative to the outside environment, is in motion. The two of you sitting inside, on the other hand, observe each other as stationary objects, as both you and the train are moving at the same speed. Hence, relative to the train, you are stationary, and the laws of physics stay same inside the train as they would on the ground when you are standing still. Now, let's consider you get off the train and observe it moving across in front of you. Now, you are stationary, and relative to you, Einstein is moving with the same speed as the train. This is the phenomenon of relative motion, and we observe it every day. Does everything in the universe observe this relative motion the same way? Yes, everything except light. Light behaves in a different way. Imagine you have a light clock with you. This light clock has two mirrors in the opposite directions and a light beam bouncing between them. Now, let's say the distance between the two mirrors is d, and the time for the light to cover that distance is t. For the sake of simplicity, let's say it's 1 second. So, when this clock is with you at rest position, the light bounces between the mirrors, covering distance d in 1 second, which gives us the speed of light s. Now remember, speed is distance per unit time. Now consider Einstein also possesses the same light clock with him. Only this time, he's traveling in a spaceship along with the clock. When Einstein travels in a certain speed, the clock travels with the same speed of the spaceship in the same direction. Here, light has to travel an extra distance in the same 1 second. Let's consider this distance to be capital D and represent the speed of light here as capital S, which has to be greater than small s. But something's wrong here. Because in the late 1800s, the Michelson-Morley experiment tried to detect the relative motion of the matter through an ether and concluded that the speed of light is constant. This cosmic speed limit is known as c. So in our little scenario, small s and capital S are equal. So for the speed of light for both you and Einstein to remain constant, something has to give way. That something is time. It turns out, time slows down when you travel faster and faster, nearing the speed of light. So the faster Einstein travels, slower the time passes for him. Hence, what could be a day for Einstein in space could be as much as 50 years for you on the ground. This became the fundamental conclusion of the theory of relativity, a theory proposed by Albert Einstein in 1905. This theory broke the traditional understanding of time as a constant entity and proved that time, in fact, is different for different observers. The theory of relativity led to many other invaluable findings, the most famous of which is the equation E equals mc squared.
How the fuck do you know how to measure how fast the speed of light travels?
Bro, I think this guy was tripping on acid at the time, bro. He had to be tripping on acid, bro, for this fucking bullshit, man. Like, I know, like, maths kind of goes beyond my scope of kind of understanding, and I'm not kind of classifying myself a mathematical genius like Einstein was, but at the same time, you're like sitting there and you're like, you know what, time's really slow, man. Like, I've had a beer, so like my brain's pretty slow right now, but that shit's just like beyond my scope of reality to understand. So maybe Einstein is on something, maybe he's just tripping on acid, bro.
I feel like in order to measure how fast time is traveling, you're either one of those two things. You're either tripping hard and you're getting information from something else, or your calculations and your free time being spent on measuring the universe is second to none. Like, this guy must be spending every second of his day studying mathematical equations. Like, there's no way you could come up with that exact estimate by just, you know, oh,
it's
I
like,
do maths at school, I do algebra, I do trigonometry, I do trigonometry.
I know fucking rockonometry, bro.
I'm still trying to find a time in my life where trigonometry is actually a useful equation. I still haven't found it yet.
The idea of trigonometry, even the God complex fucking number sounds ridiculous to me, bro. Oh, the theory of all is the God complex comes down to a mathematical equation. I don't understand how mathematical equations kind of equate sometimes, you know? Maybe, again, that's far from my scope of reality, you know. String theory, this is another theory that's...
oh, man.
Mathematics has kind of equated something to. So, like, let's see what string theory is. It's another theory on what time travel could potentially be.
Imagine I have a beautiful tree that's filled with oranges. And I ask myself, what is the orange made of? How do I answer that question? Well, I want to look deeply inside the orange, so I magnify it. And I magnify it again, and if I keep on doing it, deep inside, sooner or later, I begin to see molecules come into view. But molecules are not the end of the story, because the molecules, I can enlarge them. And if I make them big enough deep inside, I begin to see atoms. Atoms are not the end of the story, too, because we have electrons zooming around the nucleus. Deep inside, mostly empty space in the atom, but deep inside, we see the nucleus. So if I grab that and magnify it, I see that the nucleus is itself made of particles, neutrons and protons. And if I grab one of the neutrons and magnify it, I find yet further particles, little tiny quarks inside. Now that is where the conventional ideas stop. String theory comes along and suggests that inside these particles there is something else. So if I take a little quark and I magnify it, conventional idea says there's nothing inside, but string theory says I'll find a little tiny filament, a little filament of energy, a little string-like filament. And just like the string on a violin, I pluck it and it vibrates, creates a little musical note that I can hear. The little strings in string theory, when they vibrate, they don't produce musical notes, they produce the particles themselves. So a quark is nothing but a string vibrating in one pattern. An electron is nothing but a string vibrating in a different pattern. A neutrino, nothing but a string vibrating in a different pattern still. So if I take all of this back together, I have my ordinary orange, and if these ideas are right, they are speculative, but if they are right, deep inside the orange or any other piece of matter is nothing but a dancing, vibrating cosmic symphony of strings. That's the basic idea of string theory.
Different dimensions, because string theory is like opening up something and then opening up something and then opening up something, and the deeper you go, the more strings that there is. It's kind of like us learning any subject, you know, like
Yeah.
the more deeper of mastery, you know.
It reminds me
Universe
of those, you know, Simpsons episodes, how it's like it starts off and then it's just, you know, it basically zooms in, so it goes like outside the planet, then zooms in on the US, then zooms in on Springfield, then zooms in on Homer's head, then zooms in inside of Homer's head, zooms in on one of Homer's like body cells, then zooms in inside the cell and it's I still can't believe that a guy called Magellan sailed around the world, you know. That still blows my mind away. Yeah, Magellan and the mermaids and the giants and the dragons too. They were dragons and sea monsters apparently. I would go on that voyage with Magellan if I could choose to do that. And I would stop him from dying so he could do the travel again.
Yeah, but you'll see that it's all a lie.
Why? But they proved, you know the name of the ship was called?
So you believe in Jesus too now?
I believe that all those prophets were real people, but the stories has been changed a bit. I believe that they existed. No, but they at the end there was a ship. What's the name of the ship? What's the name of the ship called? What's the name of the ship called? The name of the ship was called the Santa Maria. It was the first ship in human history to circumnavigate planet Earth. It sailed around the world.
Today we are sailing back to the 1500s and the age of explorers. Hopefully, you've already checked out some of our other videos on explorers like Christopher Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see all of our videos on famous explorers. And while Columbus and Vespucci are pretty famous, today we'll be talking about the explorer's version of a world champion, the one guy who holds the title for launching the first voyage to sail around the world, Ferdinand Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan is remembered for launching the first expedition to successfully circumnavigate the globe. Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese and later Spanish sailor. He was born in 1480 to a noble family in Sabrosa, Portugal, not far from Porto, a region famous around the world for its wines. When Magellan was 12, he and his brother moved to the country's capital, Lisbon, where they served as pages for the Queen. It was here that Magellan was inspired by the tales of exploration and learned about sailing, navigating, and reading maps. By 1505, Magellan and his brother were sailing as part of the Portuguese fleet. For 7 years, Magellan sailed around Africa and India, fighting in many battles and eventually being seriously wounded in 1513 while fighting in Morocco. The battle left him with a limp for the rest of his life. But Magellan hoped to do more than just fight battles. Back in Magellan's day, sailors, merchants, and entire countries were getting rich by finding exotic spices like cinnamon, clove, and even black pepper from Asia and bringing them back to Europe. Yes, the same black pepper you might have sprinkled on your lunch used to be a lot more expensive. Magellan wanted to command a fleet that would sail around the world and find a new route to make it easier to trade for these spices. He petitioned the King Manuel of Portugal to provide him with ships, but the king repeatedly turned him down. So, Magellan left Portugal and moved to Spain to try and get the attention of the Spanish king. During Magellan's life, sailors like Vasco da Gama had already proven that you could sail east to reach Asia by sailing around Africa and the Cape of Good Hope. However, no one had ever sailed west to reach Asia. Plus, Portugal controlled the eastward route to the Spice Islands, so the Spanish were looking for another route. King Charles of Spain, the grandson of the same King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, the monarchs who funded Christopher Columbus's voyage, eventually supplied Magellan with 5 ships and nearly 270 sailors in the hopes that Magellan could provide Spain with a new route to the Spice Islands. On August 10th, 1519, Magellan left his wife and his young son and set off on a voyage to circumnavigate the globe. Magellan and his 5 ships reached what is now South America after a month of sailing. The Armada struggled during the first few months of the voyage. Magellan had to stop a mutiny staged by some of his crew and ended up losing 2 ships. One was lost in a storm, and the crew of the other abandoned the mission and sailed back to Spain. But eventually, Magellan got a breakthrough as he found a shortcut through the bottom of South America, which we now know as the Strait of Magellan. Magellan hoped it would only take a few days to sail across what he called the Pacific Ocean, due to its gentle nature. However, it actually took a few months until Magellan's fleet eventually landed on what is now Guam. A number of men died of scurvy during this leg of the voyage. The exhausted crew eventually left Guam after killing a number of natives while battling over goods taken from some of the ships. Magellan then visited a number of eastern Philippine islands where he befriended and traded with a number of native tribes, thanks to his slave Enrique of Malacca, who was originally from modern-day Indonesia and served as a translator. He even met a local ruler named Raja Kalambu, who welcomed him. The fleet pushed on, exploring more islands, eventually pushing deeper into the Philippines with the help of Kalambu, where Magellan attempted to convert many of the locals to Christianity. However, one island, Mactan, resisted. So, Magellan and his crew attempted to convert them by force. However, in a fierce battle, the Mactan natives defeated Magellan and his crew, ultimately killing Ferdinand Magellan. With Magellan gone and the fleet losing yet another ship, a new captain by the name Juan Sebastian Elcano took over, and eventually Elcano was able to locate the Spice Island. The crews of the remaining 2 ships decided to split up for fear of being captured by one of the many Portuguese ships roaming the nearby seas. Elcano's ship continued journeying west, while the other went east. Only Juan Sebastian Elcano's ship, the Victoria, eventually completed the voyage. Of the estimated 270 men who joined the voyage, only 18 returned to Spain. And while the distance of the journey was far too great to use for trading at the time, Magellan helped vastly expand Europe's knowledge of the world, which was much larger than many had expected. And so, Magellan will always be remembered for spearheading the first successful voyage to circumnavigate the globe.
Good morning, soldiers. This is your reporter, Robert Johnson, broadcasting somewhere in old Europe. Here's the latest news from the battlefront. A new ally joins Mansion Games. An anonymous source informed me of the imminent arrival of the Allies to their objective. The battle continues, and the Alliance advances with blood, sweat, and tears in the battlefield, fighting for freedom. But that's not all. A large-scale invasion is about to begin. Codename Operation High Jump. The fall of Berlin. The Union means strength, and together we shall achieve the final victory.
It was confirmed that it was a random coincidence because there was no way that trade deal, that backroom trade deal, would have ended up happening. Normally, it would have been fine, but how would somebody have known that a top Nazi official and a top British MI6 intelligence agent were making a secret diplomatic trade deal in the middle of the greatest war in human history? How would anyone have known they were at a classified location and destroyed it before they made the deal? I reckon they went back in time and they stopped the deal from happening. To me, because like...
How many people knew it though?
What you
More
need
than one person knew,
what,
right?
That's true, but what you need to understand is that he had by far the strongest army in human history at that time. He was supposed to have won. There's no way he could have lost unless someone knew what he was doing. And it also
So maybe a time traveler
stopped him from winning. Which is Operation High Jump. Because
Which
it was
essentially that's the man on the high castle what you were talking about before.
Basically, yeah.
And I think like people came from the future
and stopped it. I reckon they went CERN. A Hadron Collider. I reckon they opened a wormhole and used CERN in that laboratory to go back in time, and they caused a butterfly effect in which they changed that Operation High Jump, and then they created an alternate timeline, which has now made me think it's called Sex and the City, when it's called Sex and the City. I wouldn't be thinking it was called Sex in the City if these CIA operatives hadn't gone back in time through a wormhole at CERN in a Hadron Collider and changed the time. We're on the what timeline do you think we're on right now? Are we on the good timeline or the bad timeline?
Yeah, but who really knows? Like, at the same time, like, have you guys heard of the Philadelphia experiment?
Something that should never have happened has happened again.
We're still in Philadelphia.
There's no desert in Philly.
It has happened to David Hurdig.
You boys don't know what state you're in?
It has happened to Jimmy Parker.
What's the date? The year?
You kidding?
One day, it's 1943.
Generators activated, sir.
The next, it's 1984. Now there's no going back.
This is Hurdig. That's him.
Now the truth can't be told.
Pick him up. I didn't do anything.
Now, the only person he can trust does not trust him.
I need you.
In 1943, the United States Navy conducted a series of tests to develop a camouflage system that would render U.S. ships invisible to enemy radar.
I don't believe this.
The Eldridge has vanished.
I didn't think it was possible.
No, sir. She's really vanished. She's gone.
Today, the Philadelphia experiment is still in progress.
Good God, there it is.
What went wrong? No one can tell.
We opened up a hole, Barney, and it stayed open.
Where it could lead, no one dares say. Who is responsible no longer matters.
Now, we can't stop it, but I believe that you can.
He's lying, David.
I wish to God I were.
I gotta go.
The Philadelphia experiment.
Go!
Michael Pare, Nancy Allen, Bobby DeChico, and 41 years of time and technology are about to draw you into the vortex of the most unique adventure to ever cross the boundaries of the impossible. The Philadelphia experiment.
Interesting theory, and like potentially, like, you know, if this ship was teleporting, you know, and it was around that period of World War II where fucking Hitler was apparently building a base on the moon or time traveling, or, you know, it kind of works along with that same kind of like narrative. Maybe he used the fucking ship to get.
Yeah, but what about that place? Is it Bermuda Triangle or not? I don't know. Maybe it's
It could be tied to that too, because
this place that you're talking
no, that's what
about,
I'm saying.
there's a place.
Like,
Look
listen.
it up, though.
Listen. No, I totally get what you're saying.
Do you mean
like,
the plane though? I'm talking about
but-
the plane. There's a plane that went through like the sky.
I know, that's another one, but that's another one. I know that one.
2 hours later, but there was no fuel missing.
There was like a circular, there was like in the middle of the sky, there was like a circular shape, and the driver of the plane, the pilot, went through this circular thing, and then he ended up 2 hours later coming back out, and he noticed that
he came out like earlier than he should.
yeah, at a different time, yeah, when he went through the hole, he came out at a different time.
Earlier, like,
yeah, I know, yeah, I heard about that.
And there was no fuel missing, like for the flight that he did. Like he's like more like there's like, you know.
He's been driving for some time, flying for some time, yeah. Exactly.
Well, we're gonna find out
Can you where that was?
the Bermuda Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle mystery has been solved. How many creepy stories about the disappearing of airplanes and ships in the Bermuda Triangle have you heard? We guess a whole bunch. It is a large area in the Atlantic Ocean, between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. This region is notorious for its mysterious phenomena. Huge amounts of ships and planes have disappeared here. Its second name is the Devil's Triangle. All those mythical vanishings happened under unknown and unexplained circumstances. Some of the planes and ships have never been found. There have been many theories about why it all occurs in that area, starting from waterspouts to aliens and even sea monsters. But those were only theories. Reports go back to 1945, when 5 American torpedo bombers and a plane that was sent out to find them all vanished without a trace. Since that day, another 75 aircraft and several hundred ships have been lost. The latest tragedy happened in 2015 when the cargo ship El Faro disappeared in this region. El Faro was a U.S. vessel traveling from Florida to Puerto Rico. It disappeared from the radars on the 1st of October 2015 and was found wrecked on the bottom of the ocean on the 31st of October. Another big incident happened on the 20th of June 2005 when the first Piper PA airplane disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. There were 3 people on board. The second similar incident happened on the 10th of April 2007 when one more Piper PA airplane disappeared near Berry Island. There was only one pilot on board without any passengers. Neither plane has ever been found. There were small incidents as well. A luxury cabin cruiser, Witchcraft, that belonged to Burak, who owns a popular hotel as well, went along the shore of Miami together with his father to enjoy the beauty of Christmas lights in 1967. After some time, the shore guard got a call from Burak, who said that his vessel hit something and asked for towing. When the guard arrived at the place after 20 minutes, they couldn't find anyone. The boat, together with Burak and his father, disappeared and have never been found. Many stories are whirling around this area, but now, finally, the mystery behind the Bermuda Triangle may have been solved. At least that's what a Science Channel show claims. A team of American scientists from the University of Colorado analyzed satellite weather images of this notorious area and noticed a series of unusual hexagonal clouds on them. The meteorologists theorized that these clouds might act like real air bombs. It's believed they are the main cause of the deadly blasts of air, which can easily exceed 170 miles per hour. These hurricane-force winds literally blow up the air and can generate waves of more than 45 feet in length. No ship can survive such a storm, and no aircraft can withstand such a wind. Clouds don't typically form straight edges. However, judging by the satellite images, the Bermuda Triangle is an exception to this rule. The announcement of this theory has motivated a lot of further research. Scientists from all over the globe are trying to figure out what the reasons for such anomalies are.
I've actually got one cool theory on how to suss out the Bermuda Triangle in a safe way. Get out a submarine and just go under the water and just see what's really there. Because I notice every time it's always like a ship or a plane. Above the water there's so much chaotic activity. I reckon if you're like 100 feet underwater and you're just in a small, like a submarine.
You'd think somebody's already kind of worked that out in a way.
Yeah.
You'd think that somebody had to go on some form of submarine at this period of time.
I've heard that apparently there's actually a portal in the Bermuda Triangle that actually takes people to another dimension. Now, again, that could be a load of garbage, but it'd be pretty cool if it was the case.
The idea of going back in time would be essentially to have a fact-finding mission. Do you know what I mean? Like, does the idea of what his story is, which is his story, like, are they telling the truth?
Fact or cap.
You know what I mean? That's your fact seeking if you go back, right? But if you're going into the future, you're not fact seeking. You're going into the unpredictability of where potential different realities of time would be producing.
Time travel edition.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
On the next episode of
Fact or cap.
Oh, I tell you what, like.
Well, it'd be more like this it'd be fact or unpredictability of technology.
Jeez.
Do you know what I mean? Like, potentially, that's what you want to go in the future for, right? Like, everyone's like, oh, we'll go to the future. Like, is it society that you're excited about to see in terms of future? Is it technology, or is it like on the sole basis where the humans exist? Like, think about it. Would humans exist at that kind of period of time?
It'll be like the time
Jetsons.
machine.
See, that's
I reckon it'll be like the time
technology,
machine.
You know?
I reckon what would have happened is that we would have gone really high and become really technology advanced. And then after reaching a high peak of technological advancement, we either left the planet or there was some kind of a catastrophe. And then things went like really bad really quickly, and then like in that movie with H.G. Wells, we then devolved into like cave-like people and started like killing and eating each other and like living in caves and shit.
Well, wouldn't we evolve in time? Like, imagine, like, I had this theory that we are the aliens.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, maybe, like, we evolve into, like, different kind of, like, species, you know what I mean? And we kind of, like, as humans, like, that's how we have evolved to adapt. Our bodies change to our environment. You know what I mean? Like, you say, like, cave people, right?
Yeah.
So a person in a cave, their sense of hearing is going to be doubled, bro. You know, like their eyesight might increase in the dark. They might become somewhat nocturnal. You know, like the idea of that is fascinating to me, because I figured like the whole space thing, you know, internal darkness, hence big eyes like this on the affirmation fucking alien, right?
Mm.
And what else? You know, like skin is pale. Why? Because the fucking space is cold, man.
And also,
you know what I
because
mean?
there's
Like,
barely any light in space.
barely any light at the same time. So, like, they would have to adapt to that environment, you know, and maybe their fucking body is, like, super lightweight and they get to Earth, and that's the reason why they're fucking crashing out, because they can't handle the pressure of what the idea of gravity is, and that's if gravity exists. Whether it's just like a theory, you know.
Well, I reckon
Who the
gravity.
fuck knows, you know.
I reckon gravity is real because, like, right now.
Or gravity, or the ozone layer.
I still think that this guy's amazing. I want to do what he did, but I want to do it with either Hollow Earth or space.
Yeah.
I reckon I could go under the Earth and just explore the inner Earth.
So you think that he could potentially be tripping?
He might have travelled through time. He might have travelled through time.
Maybe he travelled through time. Maybe he's seen different characters through time, you know.
Well, like the sailors on his ship said that they've fought dragons, they fought giants, one of them got eaten by a mermaid.
Yeah. One of them fucked the mermaid too.
Yeah, fucked the mermaid. They got eaten by a mermaid. They came across fairies. They
What? Okay.
They fought Filipinos.
Here's another thing that.
Pan.
Here's another thing.
Oh, Tinkerbell.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Cook, Captain Cook, like
Yeah.
the story, like Peter Pan and
Yeah.
like fucking the kids Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, like a fairy.
Yeah.
It could be that
Do you
too.
reckon it's gotten like they took it from that?
No. I think that
before then.
I think that
they took Peter Pan
from this. Yeah. I think they did
maybe,
take Peter
yeah.
Pan from this. I think they did.
But also
Yeah.
at the same time, like I had this strange, like, I don't know, kind of just thought in my head where, like, you know, when they were talking about the Bermuda Triangle, the thing that I had in my brain was, you know, the lost city of Atlantis, right?
Yeah.
That sunk, yeah?
Mhm.
So, like, the Bermuda Triangle essentially could have been the lost city of Atlantis if you see the fucking, how the thing was structured. The same thing was a triangle, right?
Well, you
so
mentioned
potentially there could be technology that was the lost city of Atlantis, because they don't know where it was located, and the Bermuda Triangle is shaped very, very similar to it. So
Also,
the concept there is
a bit of a
amazing
news
too.
flash. Do you know where the Bermuda Triangle is located?
Where?
In the Atlantic Ocean. And do you know where the Atlantic Ocean name comes from?
Where?
Atlantis, because they believe Atlantis is in the Atlantic Ocean.
See how that all connects, man. Like it makes sense, you know. Like it's the same shape, and they talk about an island of 3 rings, you know. That's the same thing, 3 points, isn't it? I don't know. Isn't that an interesting kind of little theory there?
Something definitely is there.
We have a man on the street that was surveying people about this very subject that we've been discussing on the show. So let's cut to him. What do you think?
Why not?
All right.
We're here to get to the bottom of this. There are many different theories, but which one is correct? We're going to find out.
Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy Prince Afro-Asiatic. We're back at it again. We're here asking people a general question about time travel. Do you believe in time travel? Is it real, true, or false? Let us see and give us your answers. Why?
Hi.
Hey, do you think that time travel is a real thing?
I guess it has to be.
Okay, so why do you think that?
I
I'm not sure, but maybe I'm hoping that it is.
So you think it's a physics answer? Do you think it's like a meditation thing? Do you think it's like a matter of speed?
Well, I don't have enough knowledge, so but it's a good, nice idea that you've just raised. That is it all in my head? And if it is, then I can travel in time.
Hopefully. Well, it's hard for me to say either yes or no because it's very hard to prove whether it exists or not. Because how do we know if someone's actually travelled back in time? Because, by travelling back in time, they've altered words of what is now the present or will be the future.
That's true. So how do you know that the time and the idea of dimensions or different timelines exist? Like, how do you know?
Well, I don't myself actually know. I mean, if I was someone, say, like a physicist, like a quantum physicist, then I could give you a different answer, but because I'm not, I can't really.
I think so.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Because I kind of trust in like physics stuff.
Physics? Yeah, my man, that's what's up.
So is time travel a mathematical equation? Is it a meditation? Like, what do you think time travel is?
No, I think it's like somewhere existed in like a equation,
In an equation?
Yeah.
I like that, man. I respect that. You're very smart. You're intelligent, man. You know what you're saying, man. That's dope. So, do you believe that any of your ancestors have time travel?
Yeah, I believe.
You believe time travel exists? Is it real? Can you explain it?
Depends. Look, I think time travel exists if you go in space and travel at light speed for a couple of years, then time travel exists. Otherwise, I don't think it could exist. But not yet. Yeah, I think we're not smart enough.
So you think that time travel is a physics thing, or do you think it's like a meditation thing?
Physics, 100%. I'm a science person.
I don't think it's real.
Okay, so why do you think that?
Why do I think that? Because the mathematics doesn't add up, mate. Like, it's right, but like, it's not exactly right.
Okay.
It's possible, but we aren't numbers.
So I see that you're a man of God.
Yeah.
Right, so I was just curious, like, they have something called the God complex number, which is associated with creation or whatever, right? So do you think that potentially that could be related to time travel? Because the numbers don't add up?
So time travel is definitely real, but when it gets to the point of just journeying science, they get put in very small spaces, and they eventually understand what we would call the unknown, making known. No matter how small it is, you still got to see it that way.
Project on time travel. You understand what PTSD is?
Yeah.
It's hard to go.
PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. Someone that's been through a lot of drama and they relive it day by day after day.
So a form of time travel would be in the mind?
In the mind.
Yeah, it's
That's
mind.
correct. That is correct. Right. I served 7 years in the army and I suffer from PTSD daily. So it's nothing that, it's not a game, it's nothing that you can think about, it is constant. So there's medication there that tries to help you, but it does bullshit.
Do you think that it's like when you're serving, do you think like it's like they give you all these promises, but then when you're in it, it's not?
Once you join, you're in there for life. Once you leave, sorry to say, ADF, they can find fucking work. Yeah. You're just a fucking walking piece of shit.
Time travel's deep. I think time travel is very deep. Yeah. So when you say time travel, you mean like in an imaginary world, or like?
Oh, like in the real world that we live in now.
Yeah. Time travel? So how can you time travel then? Is it
That's what. Do you think that is possible? Like, do you think it's possible?
Do I think it's possible?
Because you said imaginary, so I'm assuming you don't.
I don't think about it too much. I'll be honest. I don't really think about it too much. But if I were to think about it, anything's possible, bro. I know anything. anything's possible, yeah.
No idea, because nobody really has traveled time except the existence of time and the creator the time would be existing.
Yeah? Alright. Well, do you think time travel is possible?
Nah, man. Ain't no human got no fucking superpowers to go back or front whenever the fuck he wants. He has to stay ground whenever he fucking the life he's got given goes. That's when he fucks off.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's my thing.
No, fair enough. But let's say it is possible.
Yeah, so.
Where would you travel in time if it was possible?
The Pharaoh time.
Future or past?
Oh,
It's alright, I got
past.
my number.
Past? Yeah?
There's nothing better in the future.
And how you reckon? It could be.
Did you read when had
Yeah, on thin ice, brother.
Yeah.
We are on thin ice, bro.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, man.
Likewise, man.
Fuck, bro. It's not like we're giving it fucking goodness, bro.
It'd be that way. It'd be that way. Yeah. So, you know, fair enough. If you could do that and you could go back, would you change anything?
No, I'll just tell the Pharaoh that he's a fucking dog and he's not a god and he just needs to fucking like wake up because.
I mean, you could watch the pyramids getting built though. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I've seen it in my dreams.
Yeah.
But like, what if time travel was like another dimension? Do you know what I mean?
You know what dimension that is? That's called ecstasy, fucking acid, fucking. I don't know. That's different trip, bro.
Well, so let's say if you was like,
I'd like to have some acid.
You can read and write. You go back in the past and you would write history differently. You would write it differently if you were back. You would write
four different languages.
You would write the real history. You would write the real history if you could change it. Would you go back and write history for what it really is?
Yeah, but the thing is, I could write my history. Somebody else could write their own history. That person over there will write their history.
That's why it's called his story. His story. It's not her story. It's his story.
History being written by not a person.
You know The Simpsons, the movie?
Yes.
Somehow they predicted that Trump was going to be the president, right?
Yeah, they did.
I think maybe I don't know. It's just a guess by the creators, or maybe the creators are actually time travelers because they actually guessed a lot of things, no? Like they predicted a lot of things. Like one of them, like Trump being the president.
9/11.
Yeah, 9/11.
Yeah. They predict a lot of things. The Simpsons, they really have.
Interesting, and it's a question mark.
I mean, it's all up for debate, isn't it? Like, if it is, then why haven't we seen anything, or if it isn't, so be it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But it makes you wonder, though.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder. So, if you could time travel, where would you go and why?
I think I'd probably want to go back in moments of my life and just relive them to their fullest. Because I know I take like a lot of my life for granted. And so I think being able to go back in like moments would be really helpful.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Going back, seeing what's going on. So, let's say though, if that were the case and you could time travel anywhere, any place, do you think people would have gone back in the past and changed it?
Like, do you think if time travel was a real thing, do you think that time travelers have come to this time and changed the president in some form of degree? Like, say for example, like maybe Trump was never elected, maybe the other person came in, or like whatever, maybe there was no bushfires in Australia,
If they changed it, then how would we know it changed?
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Do you think something's been changed?
Very likely.
There we go.
Einstein? You reckon somebody just went on his chalkboard and wrote E equals MC squared when he wasn't looking, and then looked at the board like, oh, that's a cool idea, relativity, I'll do that,
Yeah, I mean, it was smart, but I couldn't say how smart he actually was.
Yeah, do you reckon that when Thomas Edison was just lying around, someone just, you know, showed a few little sparks, and he's like, oh, electricity, I wonder if I can discover that, you know? You reckon?
I think some of that might be a little bit, you know, far-fetched. Like I'm sure that if something like that happened, it probably was, but I think like people are smarter than some people give credit for.
Yeah? No, fair enough. You know, like, it does make you wonder though.
Yeah, definitely.
How, like, you see some inventions and how they just pop up out of nowhere, and it's like, you know, I was looking at one thing, how it had the so-called ancient Sumerians, right? It's about 3,000, 4,000 BC, and in just a few short years, mathematics, writing, engineering, irrigation, legal system. It's like, it didn't take that long for them to come up with it. It almost looks as if, you know, someone maybe went back in time and gave it to them. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell unless you were there, in which case you prove time travel.
You're going to see it to believe it, right?
Exactly.
So, how about this, right? If we could travel through time, would you go back in the past and would you change anything if you could?
But there's so much that could change. You know, there's so many wrongs that I could make right in history. You know, you could stop genocide, you could stop whatever. So I think, if I had an opportunity to make something damaging,
Fair enough. So, like, would you get rid of any invention that has been created? Would you get rid of it if you could?
I'd probably say the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Because that's fucking devastating.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. Yeah, no. All right, well, I'll tell you what, if you had a message for yourself and you had like a time capsule and you could read it in the future, what message would you tell yourself in the future?
Keep moving forwards.
This is Tommy from the Middleway, and today our topic is time travel. So we're just going to ask some people what they think about it. So, what's your name, man?
Ben.
Ben? Tom.
There we go.
Alrighty, yeah. Do you think time travel is possible?
Sure. You know,
Yeah? I mean, it's a pretty cool idea, isn't it?
it is.
So why is it that you think that time travel is possible?
Well, because I don't think that we really have a full comprehension of exactly how all the laws of the universe or the reality of the universe work. We don't really understand time, you know. We don't know whether or not like time in the future and past still exists, or whether we're actually traveling through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like that. Like,
I do hear that. It's like some people say that time it's not necessarily linear, it's non-linear time, but we look at it in such a linear way.
Well, if you look at Einstein's
relativity theory,
right? It isn't linear at all. It's fucking fucked up.
It is actually.
And it's really hard to get your head around because you're not like a theoretical physicist or something.
It's something else. Yeah, space and time. So if you do think it's possible and you could time travel, where would you go?
So can you also travel through space?
You can travel through any place and time, where, and in the future and in the past,
and
anywhere.
You observe events that like,
and be a spectator, yes you can.
But like where maybe the rules of current reality don't exist anymore. Because I'm thinking like it'd be cool to go and look at the dawn of the universe, but I don't think I'd be able to sustain that.
You couldn't go before the beginning of the universe, but you can go to the very dawn of it. Yeah.
Like the Big Bang or potential the drop
cool
of
to see,
you know.
I think I'd probably be kind of smashed into smithereens or something. I just in a way like you wouldn't even be able to comprehend what would happen.
Just glitch in the matrix sort of shit.
But I don't know. Like that's I think that's like the answer that I've come to because of the theme. But I mean, I'd love to go back and just like look at really basic things like. Maybe it's a little bit self-involved, but like even to just go back and look at different parts of your life and see it from a different point of view and things like that. Or I don't know. There's heaps of cool things you can do. The future. What about the future?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I mean, you want to know answers, right? You would want to know to where flying cars. I mean, I would go back and see how the pyramids were built or something like that. I got a whole heap of things I would do.
Do you think it was done by aliens?
Well, I mean, you don't know until you see it for yourself, right? It's like, hey, they haven't made anything that cool since like 4,000 years. They haven't made anything cool.
But in all technicality, if you were walking around Egypt as a white man in
1700s, they'll probably think you're a god, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Maybe.
think about it. Like, all the people that tanned and stuff back then, they're probably like, what the fuck? You albino? Like, what? They'll freak out, man. I mean, seriously, like, they had, like, you know, like a bird-headed god and stuff like that. Imagine if they had a white man as the god that just randomly appeared one day, you know? And he's like, have you heard of TikTok? Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to understand what the hell you're saying.
Be like, what, a clock?
I don't think English
We have a sun.
No,
back then, so.
it'd be something else. What was the language I spoke? I don't even know what they spoke in
Egyptian.
Egypt. Just Egyptian?
I assume so. No, it'd be Arabic or something.
Maybe. Oh,
Because
nearby.
it's near Saudi Arabia, so.
Who knows? But so, yeah, if time travel is real, do you think people would have traveled back in time and changed it?
Yeah, do you think time travelers have changed something in the present time?
I mean, it's entirely possible, but it also, because aren't there like lots of theories about how time travel would work, you know what I mean? Like, like, for example, there's the whole grandfather paradox thing, right? But then I heard about like a way that was resolved, so I don't know though. I mean, the question is, do I think that people have actually done that, right? Traveled in time.
And changed things, yeah.
I've got no basis upon which to have like stake a claim on that question. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say yes, but I'm also not going to say no.
Because you just don't know. You don't know. It's easier to say.
There's no way to know that. Well, there's probably ways to know that, but I don't have access to those ways. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. So, is there anything that you would change if you could travel through time?
Probably not. No.
You like it the way they are?
I mean, you know, there's lots of shit things that have happened in the world, in my life.
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
But I don't know. Things are good about that. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I mean, you've heard of the butterfly effect. If it goes back chain, and stuffs things up, kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a plus onto that, but if there was an invention that you could get rid of, potentially, throughout history, what invention would it be?
Well, I mean, yeah. You know, things like the atom bomb. You know, probably. Yeah.
But then who knows?
Most weapons, probably.
Yeah, most weapons, yeah, no, that's fair enough. Because we were asking the other guy this, and he's like, if you got rid of one weapon, people would just use another weapon to do stuff, so it's like, you know. But no, I get that though.
Yeah.
It
or
would
maybe
be good.
the invention of conflict between different groups of humans. Is that an invention? I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like it has to have like an actual product.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like it has to be an actual product, you know?
It's
like
a fair
concept is there, you know?
It's
Concept of
interesting,
human
yeah.
evolution.
It's interesting. Tell you what. So if you had a message for yourself in the future, and you got a time capsule, what would you tell yourself in the future from now?
You're welcome. You know, like,
I like that.
assuming I'm in a good place in the future, I mean, basically, it's like I did that, so you know, good on me.
Yeah. Hopefully, man.
I don't know though, but seriously, yeah, I don't know. Like that's pretty much it, really, because that probably sounds like really conceited, which is weird because I'm usually the kind of person who really struggles with self-esteem and acceptance and things like that, but I'm in a pretty good place at the moment, so
Good on you, man.
it's nice to look to the future with a more optimistic point of view than what I'm used to.
Maybe you're welcomed in the future with more positive attributes about yourself.
What do you mean? Sorry?
Like you know how you said, oh, I look at myself, you know, more down, kind of like
gotcha.
doubting sort of way,
Yeah.
and maybe like you saying you're welcomed is like, well, you're welcome now. I've overcome that.
Gotcha.
I'm
And
in a
also,
place
I
of
was just
clarity of
thinking,
zen, you know.
This is kind of like time travel. This actually goes up somewhere, or I can listen to it. That is me in the future, so I look forward to seeing you.
From most of my understanding of physics, yes, it would be, but it would then depend on which theory of time travel you're then going to depend it on and like base it on.
Yeah.
Are you moving faster than what light would travel, or are you bypassing that entirely?
You are bypassing it in a non-linear way, traveling at any place, forwards or backwards in time, in any place in the universe.
String theory. So string theory, yeah?
Pretty much.
Potentially, how much theories there are? Theory of relativity, the speed of light, string theory.
Well, there's the fucking, everyone can then change that theory and go, hey, it's slightly different. They get it published, but then there's another theory.
Yes.
My understanding of what we studied, there was about 3 or 4. Light, like matter itself, where it is conjuncting to black matter, and that's where that comes in, which is another theory in itself.
And then you got a whole bunch more. You got like, I like to say fan fiction that people's heads, what they come up with. It's not necessarily fiction, but it's someone's head. It's not proven yet. There's heaps of ideas. There's heaps of
concepts,
actual mathematics that make it plausible. 100% plausible. It's just the energy needed or like the resources needed we don't necessarily have or understand.
Okay, well, if you could do it though, where would you go and why?
That's a good question. I'd go back a couple of years. At the moment, off the top of my head, I'd go back just a couple of years and I'd go over to Perth and I'd go see my nephew getting born.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Or maybe go back next week and win 80 mil. One or the other, you know?
It's a good idea.
But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on it? What's your perspective? Why are you coming in on this angle, interviewing people?
Oh man, because we've got a whole bunch of different opinions on what people think time traveling is and why they would do it. If I could do it, I'd have to go see the dinosaurs. I'd have to go see the pyramids and how they were built. I'd probably go watch like the Colosseum match in ancient Rome or something, you know?
That's cool. Yeah,
I'd see one of those things.
So, in a sense of it, you ask me, but like, do you believe that if we go back and anything alters slightly, do you believe that theory of everything's going to change?
That's essentially the next question.
Would you, in your head, think that that is what's actually happened in the time cycle or like line of how it should have happened? Are you changing it or are you making it so?
We are time traveling right now. We are literally traveling through time right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Every present moment, we are technically traveling.
Every second,
Yep. And you know, when you think of it like that, you reckon that people have actually gone back in time and changed it?
It's hard to say. The amount of people on pedestals, right, with success, it doesn't really make sense, right? Even like you can look at all the data and it all makes sense. It's all there, but how?
It's a bit fishy.
Yeah? It's a bit fishy. Like people are dodgy. Like everyone's dodgy in a way.
Yeah, of course.
Like even the good people are slightly dodgy in a way. Like in their way. But no, I don't know. That's a hard. I can't say no, but I can't say yes.
It makes you wonder, like, when you get Albert Einstein...
If I think about it, I don't have enough information to give a definitive answer.
Of course. You've got to see to believe it.
Exactly, yeah.
But do you think, like, do you reckon that at one point Albert Einstein, he's passed out on his desk, and somebody just walks up to his chalkboard and writes E equals MC squared when he's not looking?
I've seen that on the internet too. I'd say that is also very plausible because the amount of renowned scientists to the ones who actually are doing the research and the work is very like 1% of life. Yeah? Like all your assistant researchers, if you go back past the 1960s, like all your female scientists of any fucking form or sort were completely disregarded until a male member of society and the scientific community then published a paper using a female person's work and they got Nobel Prizes.
Crazy, isn't it?
That's fucking nuts. Yeah. So all the disregard that has happened through research, whether it's for any fucking reason, the Dark Ages with fucking the church and religion, like...
There's actually a lady in the Dark Ages.
Sacking, the burning of the libraries of Alexandria, Persia, all of this shit, yeah? All of these things that is proven that they destroyed ancient knowledge.
There's an ancient lady in Egypt. Her name is called Hypatia, and she had a bunch of mathematical formulas and knowledge in the library of Alexandria, and what happened to all of her mathematical knowledge? It all got burnt. Her name's Hypatia. She was a Greek philosopher, but no one's ever heard of her.
Greek, Egyptian, Arabic, through Gnostic sciences, if you want to look through that pathway for a little bit, all of that has been suppressed. Why?
Good question.
Why?
Very good question. Tell me.
You either have geniuses like who are so far developed, like with their ideas, well above their time frame. So the next steps above their time frame, they're like 10-12 ahead of them. Do you have time travel there, or do you have alien contact?
Good question, man. That's another topic. But it makes you wonder.
But that's the thing. But it also comes into that technology thing of if it is possible, would they not share that kind of thing with certain people from our world?
Yeah. Which also leads to our next question. If you could do it, would you change anything?
Goes back to the same theory I said before. So I don't know if it's part of the time cycle or what would then change it to set it off into
butterfly effect.
So that's it's a very hard thing. Like knowing my own morals and convictions and stuff, it would be very hard to sit around and watch something happen. You know, if I was there at that time and place for something horrific to happen. You know?
Of course, yeah.
Like. Well, but at the same time, knowing that and knowing I'm back there, that thing in my head being like, oh fuck, if I do something, I could completely eschew it. Yeah. Whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, right? If I intervene, it could completely change the scenario and the...
Yeah. You see, like, with us people, it's like, oh, you know, I would get rid of Hitler. But then you've got to think about it. But
what would happen?
Stalin would take over the whole world, basically.
Bingo.
And it's like...
He would have free reign to there. You're 100%
He had the largest army in Europe at the time. Yeah. And there was no one to stop him. Like,
the only reason why the Americans had, or the United Nations had power to defeat Stalin, because he fucking got absolutely wrecked trying to fight Hitler.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. Now, it leads us to just 2 more questions. If there was any invention that you could get rid of, which one would you get rid of?
Any invention inside.
I want to say currency, but it also has its benefits. Alcohol.
I like both of those. Second, alcohol. You're the second person that says alcohol.
Those are big ones. Studying plant medicines and stuff, you can get a way better buzz off a fucking plant. Any kind of plant. And it's going to do less damage to your body and your mental health, your social circles, and all of that kind of shit. Alcohol or currency. Because there were old school tribes trading shit like skills for resources and stuff efficiently and smoothly without anyone having way too much power or greed. And that was working for centuries.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. So, if you had a future message for yourself and you could put it in a time capsule, what message would you tell your future self?
Keep doing you. You're the only one who can.
Time travel is possible?
No, I do not, unfortunately.
Yeah?
Are you guys big believers of time travel?
You'll find out.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Yes.
Like my thing, if time travel was possible, like surely wouldn't we know about it?
Yeah, someone would have leaked it by now, I think.
Yeah, but although maybe it's so under wraps that we just don't know. I mean, possibility's always there.
CIA.
I feel like things would have been more messed up if it existed. You know what I mean? There'd be more crazy things going on.
Yeah, who knows. I'll tell you what, if it was possible, where would you travel in time, future or past?
I would go past.
Yeah, I think past.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I would go past purely for the fact to see if life was the same like X amount of years ago. Like if we were to go back 100 years ago, we're always like, life is so different to what it was like 100 years ago, but how do we actually know that if we weren't there?
100%.
And so we can kind of like compare the two worlds.
Like culture-wise?
Yeah, it's just like the way that we treat each other as humans. It's like, I wonder if people were treating each other the same back then.
Better or nicer.
Yeah, or worse.
And imagine if you went forward and it was like the apocalypse and you were just like, not a good one.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, well, if time travel is real, what do you think people would change in time?
Yeah, if time travel was real and time travelers have changed this period of time, what do you think they have changed? And if you could change anything in time, what would you change?
I mean, they'd probably stop Hitler and stuff like that. They'd stop the bad things going on.
Yeah.
Surely. I don't know.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah. If I was to go back, I would love to change, like, racial, like racism, like the way that we, like, I don't know, I'll talk about this just a second, but like the way that we treat each other, like, why does it have to be so different? Like, I'm not too sure how I would change that.
I know, who would listen? This kid's off his chops.
But surely there was a moment, like, years ago. Oh, actually, do you want to know what I'd stop? I'd stop people from invading Australia.
Yeah, would you stop that? You could travel in time?
If I could stop that, I'd just be like Captain Cook the other way.
The other way.
I mean, he got eaten by Maldives in the end anyway. So.
Literally.
I know, but just like, don't even let him touch Australia.
Yeah.
Can't even touch it.
No, it's off limits. Off limits, no go zone.
Yeah, no go.
Yeah.
There's people already here back
yeah, and still here.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. So tell you what, if there was an invention you could get rid of, which one would it be?
An invention.
Yeah, for any invention throughout history.
Atomic bombs.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
They do not need to exist.
Okay.
That's really, that's deep.
Yeah.
Oh, catastrophic.
Would you just tell Einstein to fuck off? Like?
I don't know, like, this is the thing, if you were to go back in time, who would, like, you'd just be like, this kid's mental, like, you wouldn't be able to do anything, really.
Yeah, no, fair enough. If you knew, would you change that invention?
100%.
Yeah, fair enough.
What about you? No idea.
Okay, well, last one. If you could have a time capsule and put a message in there for yourself to read in the future, what would that message be?
That's a big one. Message in the trees. So, like, I don't really get it. So, like,
So it's a time capsule that you're telling yourself. You know how, like, when you're a kid and, like, they told you, oh, put your toys in a box and then dig it and then... Yeah, so, like, right now, you're the past you. And you're telling your future self something.
I reckon just to, like, chill out a bit more. You know what I mean?
Chill out, have fun.
Yeah, just, like, chill out. I don't know.
Do the risky thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not that far. But, like...
Be risky.
Just, like,
do the thing that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Not overthink it. Yeah.
No, you know, likewise, man. I don't know.
So what about you?
I would probably be crazy, have fun, be nice.
Be nice. I love
be
that.
nice.
Okay, I got one question that's off the cuff, but you said like you would go back in time to see what culture was like, right?
Yep.
So would that revolve? Because I'm assuming you guys are both like gay or whatever, right? So do you believe in the gender politics thing, and would you see what the culture differences in terms of gender politics back then?
Absolutely. Like, I would love to get rid of the whole idea of gender at all. There's a huge spectrum, and where anyone lies on that is... Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. Do you think like culture back in, say, the 50s versus the 1800s was the same in terms of gender politics that it is now, like they, them, and all this other bullshit?
I think it was like it's like, I mean, it's been around forever. It's just more of a conversation now.
Yes.
Less taboo, more common now.
Like
sexism was a lot worse then, though. Misogyny and that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's also like what we know. It's like all this stuff. Like if you look into like to find details of it, this sort of conversation's been happening for decades and decades and millennia. Like it's been happening forever. It's just now that we have access to more information all around the world, it's more common because we're hearing about it.
Woke.
I personally don't think I'd do that, but I would like to go back and just mess with the people.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, mess with cavemans maybe. I don't know.
It's just a dream.
So essentially, time travel could be like a dream sort of state in this potential simulation of reality.
Yeah, because we don't. Well, first of all, we don't know what our reality is. No one really does. We've got theories. We can strongly believe it, but no one really knows for sure. I don't want to time travel. I want to live in the moment. That's the human experience. That's what we are. Like one of the theories, you know, we're the universe experiencing itself. Why would I want to rush it or go back? sometimes we can go back and think about good memories, and that's time travel. We're going back to that memory, time. So if you're talking about time, yeah, it exists because that's a memory. You've gone back there, and it can feel real, right? It can feel as real as our day, and then that goes into the thing, like, you know, is our waking life the dream? And when we sleep, that's the real world. You know, and I think that's what it is, really.
What message would you tell yourself in the future?
Don't do drugs, try and make something of yourself. Don't relive the life I'm living now.
Live in the moment.
And I'd also explain exactly what I'm going through and what I've gone through, all the bad shit that's happened and that, to be able to convince myself into believing that message. If I was able to do that and see the future type thing, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, otherwise it would be a message to try and better myself, pretty much.
Yeah.
Aim to do better.
A lot of interesting theories, and we were kind of talking about those kind of theories on the show. So, yeah, like it's interesting. Even like the last guy I think he was a physicist or something.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. That last fella definitely seemed to have a lot of background knowledge in what was going on. I would say that for the most part, the people there had a very, let's say, general knowledge about time travel. But that last fella definitely seemed to know what he was talking about when it came to the theory behind time travel.
So this is the part of the segment that is trivia, right? So here is a trivia question. First question is, a man dressed in a bunny suit saves a boy from being crushed by a jet engine that has been falling through a wormhole in his own bedroom.
All right, well, I know the answer.
What movie is this?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer it?
A. Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
B. Near Dark. C. Time Bandits. Or D. Heroes.
I pick A, D, Donnie Darko.
Yeah, I'm going to pick A too. I think you're right about
Donnie
that.
Darko, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, we got it right.
Correct.
We got it right, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. We got it right. Okay. The crew of Starship Enterprise go back in time to retrieve 2 whales, thus saving their future. Which Star Trek film is this?
Oh, shit.
A. The Wrath of Khan. B. The Final Frontier. C. The Undiscovered Country. D. The Voyage Home.
Bro, I didn't even know they made this many Star Trek movies.
Bro, there's like 20 fucking movies, I swear to God, bro.
Fucking hell.
It's a long series, man. It goes for like 19 seasons,
I
bro.
was
It's
gonna
a long
say,
series, man.
like, it seems as if it's more popular than Star Wars, but not really, because they have more movies than series. But Star Wars only has 9 movies. But Star Wars tends to get more of a fan following, I guess.
So I'm going to go Voyage Home, bro.
I'm going to go the Undiscovered Country.
All right, here we go.
Voyage Home. Here it is. You are correct. You go the Voyage Home.
Yeah, there we go.
So they have to save whales. You know, there's something I read apparently that whales actually came from another galaxy and they were brought here.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, when
Whales came from another galaxy.
Yeah, I know it's a bit much. So when you see dolphins and whales, you know, these are foreigners. They can, you know, go back to their own planet.
All right, so Dr. Evil has stolen Austin Powers' mojo, and Austin must go back in time to retrieve it.
Oh.
Which Austin Powers movie is this?
I think it's the first one, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Because it's definitely not the International Man of Mystery.
I'm thinking it's got to be Goldmember, bro.
Alright. You know, it could actually be Goldmember. Actually, no, I reckon you're right. Oh, wait, it is The Spy Who Shagged Me. I was
There
right.
you go.
Is that the one with Fat Bastard as well?
Yeah. I keep eating because I'm fat, and I'm fat because I keep eating.
Get in my
I
belly.
get depressed because I'm fat, and I'm fat because I get depressed because I'm fat, so I eat, and then I get fat, like some shit like this.
It's like, oh, it smells like cactus.
Caca. Caca.
I saw all the fight scenes in that movie. He gets like his fucking Hess chair ripped off. I'm like, oh, that fucking Kane, bro. What is this? A World War II experiment. Oh, okay, here we literally.
A World War II anti-radar experiment causes a naval ship to disappear in Virginia, throwing 2 of the sailors into the future.
I reckon it was My Science Project.
My Science Project. B, Philadelphia experiment. C, the Invisible Man. Or D, Mac Harley's Navy. I'm gonna go to the Philadelphia experiment. I think
I might be My Science Project, bro.
Oh, you know what? Let's check it out. Turns out it's my Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, who would have thought? My Science Experiment was pretty cool.
All right,
though.
so this one here is going to be the last question of the trivia. In Back to the Future 2, how many characters, including different versions of Marty McFly, did Michael J. Fox play?
Oh.
A4, B5, C3, or D6? I'm going to say
4.
like 4.
I'm
bro.
saying 4, yeah.
Or 3.
I'm going to do 4, man.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it was 5.
Five.
Hold
Fuck,
on,
I
what
was
was the
gonna say
5th one?
3.
Okay, the one playing the dance. The original Marty, okay.
Part
the
1.
older Marty.
Oh, yeah.
Played the older Marty's children, Marty Jr. And the 6th Marty is mentioned in the alternate 1985 when Biff was supposed to be in Switzerland, but we never see him. I don't remember that last one.
Yeah.
All I know is that one part about Back to the Future 2 is that Biff gets the winners of the sports magazine
I
and then
remember
puts
that.
the bets on himself, and then he has like Biff Mansion in the future.
And he's like, yeah.
Do you know who they based that off?
What?
They based it off Donald Trump. The Biff's character was based off Donald
It
Trump.
wouldn't surprise me, bro. He is a time traveler, Donald Trump. So. Time travelers everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We had Putin, we had fucking, what was it?
Maybe Hitler.
And now we have Donald Trump. So we have a full spectrum of time travelers that people don't even know that are right in front of our faces. You know?
Pretty crazy.
So that idea of technology is everywhere. What is the middle way of time travel? Like, what is it?
I think that we can agree, even though it may be impossible to travel backwards in time, but in terms of altering the state of traveling through time, whether it be, as Einstein said, theory of relativity, if we are traveling so fast, we can be traveling at time differently than everyone else. We can travel forwards in time at a different speed. That I do agree with, but I'm not too sure if we can travel backwards in time, unless, like the Hadron Collider at CERN, did operatives really go back in time and change past events in war, which alternated the timeline? Did they really, put it this way, if Einstein did end up working on the Philadelphia project and secretly lied about how he found a way to make huge ships teleport and they could actually travel through time, like in the Philadelphia experiment, do you honestly think that he would have told the whole world about it? I think that he would have just kept it a secret, bro. Like, for real.
Yeah.
I think Einstein was, he would have just kept that a secret. But then again, I guess, look, they haven't released the evidence on it. For all we know, do you think the Philadelphia experiment was real? Do you think Einstein actually invented time travel and just lied about it?
No, I don't think he lied about it, to be honest.
You reckon he was, like, legit?
I reckon he was legit, to be honest. I reckon he was legit because, to be honest, like, he was one of the most intelligent men of that time, And I feel like he could be onto something, But at the same time, like, for me to reach the middle way, like, we talked about a range of different theories, and I feel like to reach a middle ground understanding is depending on what are the parameters of which you were talking about time travel. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's such a spectrum to just downgrade it to like one of dilating time or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
idea to just narrow it that just one kind of like assumption, you know? Like, I feel it would be kind of arrogant, you know? But at the same time, that is the one that everyone is kind of more drawn to, you know? Like, wormholes and another thing, dimensions, you know? Like, we could go on and on the days about memory and just different events in history and places and potential energy spots, you know, that would change your mind, you know? Like, we could go for days, but I honestly think, like, I think the easiest way, besides an alternative machine where you click a button and it goes this or that, as a science fiction movie, I think, is time travel possible? Yes, if you're meditating through different channels, you know?
So spectating time.
Spectating time, you
Yeah.
know? Like the whole idea of like astro traveling and that whole concept that you could go through many different time periods and see ancestors and the whole DMT sort of experience and stuff like that. I honestly think that could be a version of time travel.
Yeah.
And time travel is depending on your perception as well because of how we perceive reality.
So I would say that Christmas Tale by Ebenezer Scrooge, where the ghost of Christmas takes him into a dreamlike state and he goes back into his past and sees what he could have become if he wasn't a greedy rich person. You say that you can spectate different versions of yourself, but you can't experience them, but you can spectate past events. You just can't change anything in a dream state. Yeah, I will agree. I will agree with that. You may not be able to travel backwards in time, but you can spectate what happened in the past. That I will agree to. I think we can find the middle way on that. You cannot like physically travel backwards in time, but you can go into a dreamlike state and spectate past events. I will find the middle way on that.
And I think that is the middle way. Cheers to the first episode. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.
Take care. And keep in mind, you may agree to disagree. There's your way, there's my way, and then there's the middle way.
So this is the future, huh?
I guess.
You know, I kind of feel like how Muhammad felt in a way, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he was in a cave and he time traveled and he seen all these things and he told these people, like, hey, this is what's going to happen, you know? And it's weird because a lot of the predictions are right. Same as like even like Buddha and Jesus.
Yeah, all the prophets had some kind of a strange way of being able to see future events and even look into the past. It kind of blows my mind away. It makes me think, were they time travelers? Were they?
Yeah, well, I mean, even Jehovah's Witness, what did they witness? You know what I mean? Wasn't it time travel stylistic stuff? You know what I mean? Like, how would they know? Oh, they time traveled, bro. Okay, so time travel it's biblical. BC.
BC.
What was before that? AC.
Wait, it wasn't it AD?
AD, yeah.
AD is like BC.
No,
then AD.
BC and AD. AD is after BC.
Yeah, you see, I think it's because they get that whole thing where it's like before and after, but in other, for instance, like Oriental, like Asian nations and Eastern nations, they don't have the whole AD BC. They have like an entirely different calendar. I think it's like the more so Western orientated calendar has the whole BC AD. Yeah, because in the East,
Christian stuff.
Yeah. But in the East, like in India, the Hindu system, which is, I think it's the Yuga cycle, that's like a whole different, like, it's not even measured in like thousands of years. It's measured in like freaking millions of years of kalpas and yugas and all that. It's something that just blows my mind away.
So yugas is what, like, if you to give a number to a yuga, like is a yuga like a million years?
Like they have they have a kalpa. A kalpa is like a million years, I believe, and then they have like these. They have a sub time section which is the yugas, and the yugas are like, I think 10,000 years each or something. And then each 10,000 years for a yuga makes a kalpa, which is like 100,000, a million years. And they measure time on an entirely different way that we measure it in the West, so to speak.
Well, that's another thing too, like the whole linear process and how we've kind of developed metric systems of mass versus the other systems of mass. Do you know what I mean? Like you have like the Americans, how they do stuff,
imperial system,
stuff,
yeah.
You know, like, and I feel as if that has to contribute in the way that we kind of perceive time as well. And, you know, I feel like that's why they could be seen as time travelers. You know what I mean? Like the idea of the perception of the prophet or savior at that period of time. Because they're all kind of very much linked, and everyone kind of has like a similar kind of depiction of what happened. But obviously everyone's written their own book about it, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. Everyone's got their own interpretation of it. But I do notice it to be really interesting. Like, it's not even just one prophet or one religion, but each one of them has their own so-called prophecy, or that they were allowed to see into the future and witness certain events taking place. And then, through witnessing that, like, they haven't traveled there physically, but they've traveled there as like a spectator, an astral projection. Yeah,
that's what
transmeditation. No,
yeah, transdimensional. Yeah, transcendental meditation. You know what I mean? Like that transdimensional meditation. Like a lot of people talk about this stuff. Like yogis talk about this.
Oh yeah.
And like the idea to astro travel has been around since pagans. You know, so like
that's true.
That concept is amazing. Like there's a documentary out here, and it's based upon like this. It's kind of like a, I don't know, temple that they go to where they all kind of like join hands and time travel together.
That's nice.
And it's interesting, you know, the whole concept, you know, what they see and stuff like that, you know, like.
These are the yogis, right?
These are yogis. These are also like just monks in general, bro.
Wow,
like,
man, that's intense.
And it's kind of it's interesting because I feel like the idea of being Zen is to declutter your brain, but your brain's always searching for excitement through the object it obtains.
Yeah, I think that they call it the monkey mind. They're like, you have two kinds of minds, and it's like you have that you have the monkey mind, which is like monkeys always running around trying to do something. It's so sporadic and all over the place, and then they try and find a way to focus their monkey mind. That's through Zen teachings, they like focus on one thing and they try and just let all other things flow in and just not block it out, but just let it flow through them. So it's like they're indifferent from what's coming in and out. They don't react to it. They just let it happen.
Yeah,
and that
kind of
allows
like
them to
be
focus.
water, like Bruce Lee sort of shit, man.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
That's pretty much essentially what time is, you know, like in terms of time travel, how they say like every action has a ripple effect. Like that ties into that too, because, you know, like one choice can define what your future's going to be, but also one choice in a time travel experience, bro, just leaving like a gum wrapper on the ground could change alternative realities, like we were talking about with string theory before, you know. But yeah, do you reckon we should go like back to the present day?
We could. I kind of want to label off some cool prophecies though that some of these fellas had. And then we'll catch up with them later. But no, I just have to say that I was reading one of these prophecies by a Buddhist monk. I believe his name was. He had a long name, but his full name was Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava. I think that was his full name. But, you know, back then
He's fucking with people.
People had
with
long
that
names,
name, man.
But people know. You should see some of the names they had back then.
But could you imagine, like, Like
every
imagine
time.
like a mother that's pissed off at her son. Do you know what I mean? Could you imagine that conversation? Like, matcha, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Come over here. That's not happening, man. Like,
Bruh.
I feel like that's, you know, like that's what you should try before naming your kid, you know? Like, especially with African, sorry.
But
Again,
no,
of course, but
no,
yeah.
but it's a fair point. Like at least back then, for so-called important figures, they added more words to their name to give their name and status more importance. So like, people back then, like regular dudes, were just gonna name like, you know, Jack, and from what country and what job he had. Like, if he was a blacksmith, Jack the Smith, so Jack Smith, you know. And then you have their rulers, which is something like John Winston Robert von Baron Klieg, I don't know, they had like, the more important you were, the better your name. Anyway, this fella, right?
The third.
The third, the fourth, the fifth.
Fucking.
And then they combine the names as well. It's even more confusing. But like, this fella, right, this monk, he had this prophecy I was reading into, that he was able to witness a future event where he said that in the future world, you will see iron birds traveling through the sky and iron horses that trample the land. And
car and fucking planes, right?
I know. Iron elephants, swimming through the waters or something. And I was reading into it, and I'm like,
elephants. So that'd be like a submarine and
be like submarines, battleships, all that. I'm looking into it, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, how the hell did he know that? And then like reading obviously through the other prophecies, obviously in bits of the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad said that, you know, in Arabia at the time, all of the urban areas were just small villages built out of just, you know, simple materials like sticks and, you know, just sticks and clay, bricks and whatnot. And he said that, you know, in some 1,000 years from now, this whole place will be a big urbanized city with big stone structures that will touch the sky. And look at the capital of Arabia today. Like literally, like you look at all those big metropolises in Arabia, where it'd be Dubai. You know, what's the other one? You got like Mecca, Medina. All those big cities now. They're literally skyscrapers in the desert. And back then, it would have been like unheard of. You know, for any of these fellas to have seen big, huge skyscrapers in the middle of an Arabian desert. And nowadays, all over Arabian deserts, they have huge mega cities and whatnot.
And skyscrapers everywhere, like massive infrastructure, you know. Like, and that's the key elements that you see there, you know. Like, this is written how long ago, you know?
It's like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu text, it says at one point that, you know, that, mind you, that was written 4,000, 5,000 years ago. It said that to the lands of wheat and barley, people will flock. And basically, if in terms of translation, this fella had literally written in a Hindu text that to the so-called lands of wheat and barley, which, mind you, Western countries are the largest producers of wheat and barley.
Yeah.
People will flock, basically predicted refugees and all migrations to Western countries 4,000, 5,000 years ago. This is in a Hindu text. I'm like, you can't even make this up. Like 4,000, 5,000 years ago, this dude said that people will flock to the lands of wheat and barley, and today we have like the biggest refugee crisis in history.
Well,
and people fleeing to Western countries. I mean, dude, like, they must be time travelers.
They must be time travelers, but at the same time, like, you do have, like, predictions like the fucking Mayan calendar and how in 2012 the world's going to end. But I honestly, maybe it wasn't the world's going to end, maybe a certain aspect of the world's going to end. You know, like, maybe in 2012, like, something just stopped. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a shift in culture.
Well, that's another thing, yeah.
It could potentially mean that they just didn't live that long to fucking make the calendar longer, you know? Like, it could be a multitude of reasons, you know? I
heard something interesting about 2012, by the way.
2012?
So it turns out, apparently, it's not that the date is wrong. The actual Mayan date is right. But
There's one key fact that they got wrong when they were predicting it, so to speak. So the Mayans themselves, they're right about the date 2012, but at the time, Europe was using a different calendar system.
Oh, wow.
So there's two calendars in Europe, which is, mind you, the whole BC AD, like we said earlier. That's based on the both Julian and Gregorian calendars.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Western nations use that. This pretty much included the old Roman Empire, so to speak, Western Empire, Eastern Empire. So obviously Eastern Empire consists of Greece and whatnot, and Europe, Eastern European countries. The Western Roman Empire is Western European countries. We use the Western one today, which is the Julian calendar. So the current date in the Julian calendar is 2022, which is the one the whole world's using, right? Even though in places like China and India, they've still had their old calendar system, which, for instance, you know, Chinese New Year isn't December 31st. It's like in January or February, the Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Because China bases it on a different calendar system, and so does India.
Yes.
So
that's why there's more kind of like, what are they called, tarot signs or whatever?
Well, yeah, that and
like
also
zodiac signs.
Well, they have the pig, the ox, the Capricorn, Aries, Ram, Bull, and all that. But pretty much.
And then New Year is different.
The interpretation of the day and the dates and times are different. And at the time, because they were using the Gregorian calendar, we're now using a Julian calendar. The Gregorian calendar is actually 8 years behind. So which technically means if it was 8 years behind in 2012, tell me, in the year 2020, how many years would you be if you go back 8 years if you're in 2020?
2012.
So basically in the year 2020, that was when the actual date for 2012 occurred, which is when the whole world went crazy.
So essentially,
they got the time wrong.
They're talking about the COVID experience.
Everything that happened in 2020 was actually 2012 because in the old calendar, they were based on the Gregorian system, not the Julian system. The Julian system is what we use today, 2022, but at the time, they were using the old calendar, the Gregorian one, which was 8 years behind. So when we were in 2012, we were basically in 2002. When we were in, sorry, not 2002, 2004, when we were in 2020, we were actually in 2012, which means right now we're actually in 2014. If we're going by the old calendar that they used originally, which was the Gregorian calendar, when they found the Mayan calendar.
Wow.
So the Mayans went wrong. The world did shift.
The Mayans went wrong.
The world did shift in 2020. It went fucking insane. And then this is where there's memes on the internet now where they talk about the whole, are we in the right timeline? Because allegedly, like we were talking about certain the Mandela effect, we may have fucked up the timeline.
Well, that's potential too. So maybe like people have already made changes in this timeline.
Yeah.
And hence, it's flipped the timeline on its head.
Pretty much.
But like I think here in the future, like we pride ourselves to be better than the past,
Yeah.
So, but there's something about the present that's more kind of like eye-catching, don't you think?
Of course.
Okay, so why don't we just get back in the present?